I thought I'd give you guys a quick general update, maybe some of the projects. It's cold now, so it gets dark early and it's cold in here. I don't have any insulation, so that slows me down a lot because I do not like being cold. And my shop is a disaster, so please excuse it. I got this old Wheelhorse 308-8. I think it's a 86 model. It runs pretty good. I kind of rebuilt the deck, put new belts on it, threw some paint on it where it's rusting. I think I'm not trying to restore the thing, but anything I take off, I'll try to put some paint on and just fix it up a little bit as I play with it. One of the things I've been working on is this 2.4 liter turbo motor out of a PT Cruiser. This is actually from a 2003 PT Cruiser GT with a manual transmission. And I got this motor because I have a 1988 Jeep Comanche with a manual transmission. It has the 4 liter inline 6 with the Renex injection, and the motor's getting up there in mileage. It's really low on power. I mean, I know they're probably not any real power monsters, but I like to go camping in the mountains, and the thing really struggles on the highway to even pull up a hill. So, taking kind of a weird approach here, decided I wanted something turbocharged, and I thought about turbocharging the factory 4 liter, but after really considering it and looking at how tight the engine bay already is, I kind of wanted to try something different. So I picked one of these up out of the junkyard, and probably should have got some more videos of it, but I took the cylinder head off. I was going to take the bottom end apart and just check the bearings and everything, but after having this thing apart, looks incredibly good. I mean, the cylinder walls had perfect cross hatching in it. No signs of scuffing or wear. I mean, just how clean the inside of the engine is. There was no sludge buildup or anything. The bottom end, all the rods felt good on the crankshaft. There's no signs of the motor running out of oil or anything. So, just to try to save some money, I decided to go ahead and clean up the deck surface and the head and put the gasket back in it, or put a new head gasket in it. And I did remove the balance shafts out of the balance unit there, and then I plugged the oil feed hole. That maybe frees up some power, but I guess the issue is with the age of the chain and guides, if that fails, it can destroy the whole engine. And I really don't think I'm going to notice a little bit extra vibration in the truck. And it just makes it simpler, conserves a little bit of oil in the oiling system that could be used through the turbocharger or other things. So pretty different kind of swap I got going on here. I did find a flywheel from a 2.4 liter Jeep Liberty, as well as the clutch that actually has the right splines for an AX15 transmission, or I may swap out the clutch disc and use an MA5 transmission. The other key component is this bell housing that's very hard to find. Found this on eBay from a guy in like New Jersey or something. But it's from an '04 Jeep Wrangler TJ. that had a 2.4 liter in it. And so it has the same transmission bolt pattern. That's a 2-wheel drive transmission, but I need a 4-wheel drive one. But it has the same transmission bolt pattern, and then this bolt pattern here fits the 2.4 engine. And because the turbo and the non-turbo engines very similar, that's going to allow me to bolt an AX15 or a MA5 or similar transmission to the back of this motor. This motor, a lot of people are going to be saying that it doesn't make the torque that a 4-liter does, but actually I've looked it up, and it makes more torque at a lower RPM than the 4.0 does. Now I imagine, so this, I forget the exact number, but it makes more torque at 2400 RPM than the 4-liter makes at its peak, the peak torque RPM. And I'm sure it makes less torque right off idle, but because of the gearing and stuff, I'm really not concerned. I don't do any rock climbing, so it's not like I need all that torque right off idle. So once it's moving in first gear, it'll be at enough RPM where it's able to produce its peak torque. It's a very small turbocharger. It's over on the shelf there. It's very small turbo. It's meant for building full boost pressure, very low in the RPM. So I've thought about this a lot. I really believe this is going to perform very well in the truck. I should be able to get 260 horsepower out of it, which is, I think, of what the SRT4s are rated at. And it'll be very reliable at that horsepower. The SRT4 people, they get over 400 on stock engine at the wheels, but because I'm putting it in the truck and I just want it to be reliable where I don't have to worry about it. If I want to hold it on the floor, on the highway, going up a hill for half an hour, I can. It has oil squirters, spray on the bottom of the piston, help keep those cool. It has a water to oil cooler on it, like a water-cooled turbocharger, intercooled. I think it's going to be just fine in the truck. And it'll be cool. It's also going to clean up the engine bay a lot, because if you've ever looked under the hood of a Comanche or a Jeep Cherokee, you might be surprised at how crammed that inline 6 is in that truck. So I think the 4-liter is really going to clean up the engine bay, or sorry, the 4-cylinder is really going to clean up the engine bay and also remove some weight out of the truck. I've also been working, replacing the floor pans in this Belvedere. See, I got the spot plug welds done. I need to finish out some grinding on the welds. On that side, I'm going to use my TIG welder. It should make the finishing of the welds a lot easier. The MIG welder, the weld is very hard. It's turned out kind of proud or high, so it's been taking me a lot of grinding to get it back down to be level with the sheet metal. And working on that side over there, I decided to just patch in the bad area. As opposed to this side, I actually went up to the pinch weld and over here, and so far it's a lot less work, and that side wasn't nearly as bad as this side. The replacement panels are off eBay, and they were noticeably thinner, unfortunately, than the original metal, so I'm trying to leave as much factory sheet metal in this car as possible. Then I also have a shifter hump there for the manual transmission, so I'll tack that in. I got some seam sealer I'll put on after I spray the epoxy in. You can see it's kind of turned into a bit of a shelf, as any project does. But I'm making some progress on that floor. Once I get those floor pans done, I get everything cleaned up and I'll spray epoxy underneath the car and on the inside of the floor and put the seam sealer on. And then start working on the passenger quarter panel. And I'll probably go to All Metal Direct, I believe is the company, AMD. They produce what I've seen to be the highest quality replacement panels. And I'll get the quarter panel for it because it's not fun dealing with these panels that aren't perfectly formed like the factory ones or are thinner than the factory panels. So I got this motor from I pulled it out of a car in a junkyard. Apparently the junkyard, instead of removing the drain plug, decided they would just take a chisel and punch a hole in the bottom of the oil pan. And really unfortunately is that doing so, I'm sure you can't see, maybe you can, it cracked, it put cracks all through this area. I was going to just have the hole welded up, but there are some pretty large cracks running. This one here runs almost all the way across this pad, so I'm not going to take a chance on it. I bought a new one for $70 or something like that, so once I get that in, I can finish putting this motor back together and then start working on putting the clutch and figuring out how to get the transmission bolted to it, or not bolted to it, but working on just the clutch stack up. And I'll probably have to make a custom pilot bushing to go into the crankshaft or the flywheel for the input of the transmission. So lots of things in the works. Disaster of a shop. It's very cold out here, but I appreciate the patience. Thanks. Bye.